Before you start, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more intense real-life stories. The moment I stepped into my wife's office party, the tension in the room was palpable. It wasn't spoken aloud, but it was there, in the sideways glances, the hushed whispers, and the way a few of her colleagues looked at me as if I was out of place. Emily, my wife, had been distant for months. Late nights at the office, last-minute weekend meetings, and a quick kiss with some excuse whenever I tried to ask her what was going on. Tonight, I wanted to surprise her, to remind her that beneath all her corporate responsibilities, I was still her husband. What I didn't anticipate was seeing her boss, Brad, drape an arm around her waist a little too casually while introducing her to a group. Brad was one of those men convinced the world revolved around him. Slicked back hair, designer suit, and a grin that reeked of arrogance. He turned toward me as if noticing me for the first time. "Oh, so this is Emily's husband?" he said with exaggerated surprise. "You're the contractor, right?" The word contractor slipped out with venom. The group chuckled politely, and Emily's face went pale. I just smiled. He had no idea who I really was. I extended my hand calmly. "That's right," I said evenly. "I manage a few properties around town." His handshake was firm, overly forceful, trying to assert dominance. "Good for you," he muttered. The kind of hollow praise men like him give when they think they're superior. Then he turned back to Emily, ignoring me completely. "You've got yourself a hard-working man, huh? Probably builds a mean deck." Laughter rippled through the group. Emily shrank in embarrassment, but said nothing. That silence hurt more than any insult he could have thrown. The rest of the evening was a performance. Brad peppered the conversation with snide jokes about blue-collar workers and people who work with their hands. Emily laughed nervously, glanced away, clearly uncomfortable. I stayed composed, polite, even charming, not as a husband tagging along, but as the silent majority shareholder of the company, the man who had built the very firm Brad now ran before stepping aside. I'd remained anonymous on purpose, observing management behavior when they thought no one was watching. Tonight, everything unfolded exactly as I'd needed to see. During dinner, I sat quietly as Brad boasted about the company's record profits, bragging about his leadership while subtly disparaging his team. Emily tried steering the conversation elsewhere, but he always circled back. Then halfway through dessert he leaned toward me. "So tell me, how does it feel to have a wife who earns more than you?" The table went silent. My jaw tightened, but I smiled. "Feels great," I said. "Especially since every paycheck she earns comes from my company." A hush fell. Brad let out a loud, fake laugh. "That's funny," he said uneasily. I wasn't joking. I then turned to the CFO across the table. "David, you might want to remind Brad who signed the acquisition papers 3 years ago." The CFO's eyes widened. "Sir, I didn't realize you were attending tonight. My apologies." The word "sir" reverberated through the room like a gunshot. Brad's grin vanished. Emily's fork clattered against her plate. I stood, straightened my jacket, and looked Brad squarely in the eye. "I built this company from scratch. The properties you manage, the projects you brag about, they're mine. And I've been watching you." His face drained of color. "You've been mocking employees, belittling your team, and apparently flirting with married staff at company events. That ends tonight. You'll hand in your resignation by Monday. If not, I'll make sure everyone knows the truth." The room was dead silent. Brad stammered, words failing him. I looked at Emily, her eyes wide with guilt and shame. "Enjoy the rest of your evening," I said and walked out. The whispers followed me all the way to the door. Outside, I drew a deep breath of the cool night air, feeling anger drain away and a colder emotion settle in, disappointment. Emily came home later, mascara smudged, eyes red. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered. I looked at her for a long moment. "Because I wanted to see who you'd become when you thought I wasn't watching." She began to cry and reach for me, but I stepped back. "I didn't expect loyalty from her boss, Emily, but I had from you that night." I slept in the guest room, not out of anger, but clarity. Sometimes, you don't need to raise your voice to make a point. Silence and truth can say everything.